Imagine this. The last bee on Earth just died. Not one hive, not honeybees, all bees. Gone. And for about 12 hours, nothing happens. That is the creepy part. You wake up. Your kitchen still exists. Your phone still works. The sun comes through the window like it did not just watch nature lose an employee. You make breakfast. Cereal. Toast. Coffee. Normal. Then you look at the bowl. No berries. Not a tragedy yet, just breakfast looking slightly unemployed. Your roommate walks in, sees the headline, and says, "Wait, like honeybees?" You say, "All bees." He opens the fridge. He finds half a bottle of honey. Then he whispers, "So this is vintage." That is how the apocalypse starts. Not with fire, with your roommate listing old honey online for $900 and calling it liquid history. Day one is mostly jokes. People post sad bee memes. Restaurants add a bee extinction surcharge because apparently ranch dressing is grieving. The news keeps saying total pollinator collapse with the face people use when they do not want to scare you, but absolutely are. And your roommate is already adapting. He buys one tiny paintbrush. He holds it up like a sword. "Relax," he says. "I will simply pollinate." You ask, "What?" He says, "The plants. All of them." This man has looked at Earth and assigned himself a weekend project. Day two. The grocery store still looks fine. That is the trick. There are apples, there are strawberries, there are cucumbers, there are almonds, melons, blueberries, coffee, chocolate, and all the little foods you never personally thanked a bee for. But that food is old news. It was already grown, already shipped, already frozen, already sitting in a warehouse pretending everything is okay. The shelves are not the future. They are leftovers. By day three, honey becomes stupid. People who ignored honey for 30 years suddenly act like it cures taxes. Some guy on the news says he owns investment-grade honey. Your roommate moves the fridge bottle into a sock drawer. You find him guarding it with a soup ladle. He says, "Do not touch the asset." By the end of the week, the first prices twitch, not explode, twitch. One grocery tag changes, then another. Then blueberries move behind locked glass like tiny electronics. Strawberries start appearing in gift boxes. One restaurant serves half a raspberry on a huge white plate, and the waiter says, "Chef recommends eye contact." Your roommate sees this and launches a company. It is called Brush Bro. The logo is his face next to a flower that clearly wants help. He makes business cards. They say, "Pollination Solutions." There is a QR code. It goes to his Instagram. Week two, the almond people start screaming. Almond orchards are basically bee convention centers with trees. Every year, farmers bring in truckloads of hives so flowers can turn into nuts. Now, there are no hives. Just millions of blossoms receiving absolutely no customer service. The flowers open. The pollen sits there. The farmer stares at it. Your roommate raises his paintbrush. Security removes him from the orchard in under 4 minutes. Week 3, the internet finds the wrong lesson. Influencers start selling bee replacement kits. It is a paintbrush, a jar, and a tiny motivational booklet called Become the Buzz. Your roommate buys 12, wholesale. He says, "This is how we scale." You say, "Scale what?" He says, "Spring." And that is when spring arrives. This is when the joke gets quiet. Orchards bloom. Gardens bloom. Wildflowers bloom. The whole world opens its little hands and waits. No buzzing. No fuzzy idiots crashing into petals. No tiny workers doing free logistics. Just wind. And wind helps some plants. Wheat is mostly fine. Rice is mostly fine. Corn is still out here being corn in every product for reasons nobody can fully defend. Potatoes remain emotionally prepared. So no, humans do not instantly die. That would be too simple. You survive. But your plate gets beige. Breakfast becomes cereal with no berries. Lunch becomes bread with sad spread. Dinner becomes rice, beans, potatoes, and one vegetable that looks like it survived a meeting. Your doctor says, "You need more variety." The grocery store says, "Variety has moved to a secure location." Month 2. Rich people food separates from normal food. Apples are not gone, but they start acting famous. Cherries become luxury. Melons get suspiciously small. Avocados become so expensive, people stop putting them on toast and start putting them in wills. Coffee does not vanish overnight, but the countries that grow it start sweating into the crop reports. Chocolate companies release statements that say, "Everything is fine," which means everything is wearing a tiny helmet. Your roommate pivots again. Brush Bro becomes bee coin. He says each coin is backed by honey. You ask where the honey is. He points at the sock drawer. There is still half a bottle. Technically, this is his most honest business. Month 3. The government tries to help. Drones, Robots, emergency pollination crews, tiny machines bumping into plastic flowers while senators nod like this is normal. And some of it works. A little. For expensive crops. In controlled places. With lots of people, lots of machines, and lots of money. But bees were doing billions of tiny deliveries for free. Every day. With no payroll, no conference calls, no app. No guy named Tyler asking if this can be automated. Replacing that is not a weekend project. It is a civilization project. And civilization is currently watching your roommate pollinate a tomato plant with a makeup brush while recording a tutorial. He charges your neighbor $40. He pokes the flower twice. He salutes the plant. The tomato does not make it. By month 6, the ripple hits animals. Not all at once, not movie explosion style. Slowly. Fewer wildflowers. Fewer seeds. Fewer fruits. Less food for insects, birds, small mammals, and every little thing that used to treat spring like an open buffet. Other pollinators still exist. Butterflies, flies, beetles, moths. But in this nightmare, all bees are gone, and the best tiny workforce on Earth just rage quit existence. Now everyone else is understaffed. Nature becomes a restaurant with 1 waiter and 87 tables. Year 1, your normal life has changed shape. The grocery store is quieter. The produce section feels like a museum. There are empty spots where color used to be. Every meal still has calories. That is not the problem. The problem is joy. Crunch. Color. Freshness. The small, stupid luxury of grabbing berries without checking your bank account first. Your roommate still refuses to quit. He opens a booth at the farmer's market. The sign says, Former Bee Services. He is selling 1 spoonful of honey for $12. People laugh. Then they pay. Because scarcity makes everybody weird. You buy 1 spoonful too. Not because it makes sense, because for 1 second it tastes like the old world. And that is the real answer. If the last bee on Earth died, humanity probably would not end overnight. The lights stay on. The internet stays stupid. Your roommate still finds a business opportunity inside the food chain collapsing. But the world gets smaller, poorer, blancher, less alive. You do not get instant extinction. You get a long subscription to worse breakfast. And somewhere in the kitchen, your roommate is whispering to half a bottle of honey like it is a retirement account. Well, that answers that.